Let's jump into markets now, and I was joined by Tredas commodity broker Doug Simon on Wednesday. We talked basis, weather, and pricing, but we began by seeing if there's anything to be learned from the latest WASDE report.
USDA used the numbers from the National Ag Statistics report from the end of June, and they used that 91.7 million acres of corn and 80 million acres of beans. That was the big number that came out of that June report, and basically told us that farmers were going to plant a lot more corn than what they intended to relative to the beans, and what the prices where they were, that was probably expected. But the market then on for the WASDE report, they just used the same 166 national yield on the corn, and the beans they cut the yield down to 48.5, and basically took the carry out to 2 billion on the corn, and the beans is just under 800 million bushels. So those numbers, were higher than what people were hoping. But there's, a lot of questions going into the next report about what prevented planted acres are going to be and what yields are going to be. Market opened up on that Thursday morning, jumped up pretty aggressively, and then it was down about 25 cents on the corn, and then it kind of regrouped and kind of came back during the day. So one of the more volatile days in terms of trading, but the numbers weren't a lot different than probably what the trade was expecting at the end of the day.
So I guess the big takeaway, we're just going to wait for the August report, then go from there.
Well, everybody's wondering, what's going on with prevent plant acres, and they're going to resurvey now here during July, and they'll have that into the August numbers. So we'll start getting numbers from that in August. There was a report today from Pro Farmer, Bill Northey from USDA, made a statement that there was going to be 8 million acres of prevent plant corn and maybe 2 million acres of beans and possibly more, which was kind of unprecedented to see a statement like that. But those rumors have been around in the market for a while here. Not rumors, people on the ground trying to figure out how much prevent plant there's going to be. So that's a big question, as are the yields coming up.
Just keep waiting and seeing.
You bet.
All right, so let's look at corn basis for a minute. And you brought this up when you were last on here back in April. So I have a pretty interesting clip that we want to show the viewers at home. Check this out.
From a marketing standpoint, basis levels right now are very, very, very strong. I think I've made comments to you, they're hot. Yeah, so the levels at Columbus and Blair are 10 over the May board. And we're going to roll into July next week, and there's 9 cents a carry. And so I'd expect those basis numbers versus the July to firm up a little bit more.
Okay, so that was about 2.5 months ago. You told me now that basis isn't just hot, it's on fire. So what do we need to know?
It's even gotten firmer with the acres that didn't get planted back in Ohio and Indiana with the crop being so late. They obviously can kind of see what's going on over there. And the basis levels in the Eastern Corn Belt are 70 over the September board now. So there was carry between the July and the Sep, and so we're even firmer now, versus the Sep than we were versus either the May or the July. So it's definitely on fire. But basically, they are trying to get a hold of corn and pull it into that marketplace, whether it's coming from, from Iowa, if it's coming from North Dakota, wherever they're trying to, they're trying to redirect rail and move that corn, or at least try to hold it out there, which is also improving the basis in Nebraska. ADM Columbus has been 15 over the last couple weeks. Blair been up in that 15 over market as well. Bartlett and Council Bluffs has been 10 over. You've got markets and Sire and Council Bluffs has been 8 over. So they're all very positive here. Basically playing a tug of war. You've got the Group 3 rail bids for harvest delivery are trading about 30 cents better than they were last year. So our basis levels going into fall, into harvest, and into new crop should be significantly better than they were a year ago. Basically, as we have that tug of war, and basis is basically the thing that directs corn around in the country and tries to put it into a under supplied market. And so it's on fire trying to get it moved around where it needs to be. We've had problems with logistics, with the flooding, with barges. It's messed up some of the rail as well. But it's hot, and it looks like it's going to stay hot here for a little bit.
And basis, that's not the only thing that's hot. The weather is hot. So how is that impacting corn and soybeans that have been planted late? How's that going to impact the markets?
Well, we had silking this last week. Nebraska was around 12%. Illinois was 19%. Typically, we'd be quite a bit further ahead. If we had this heat during the or post-pollination, it'd been pretty devastating. We've been pretty wet. Big question is how well these crops rooted down. In 2010, we were in a situation where we were wet, didn't root down real well, had really hot weather in that first week of August. Took our yield back from like a 160 in 2000 and 2009 crop year, and we went to a 154, so it dropped it off quite a bit. So I don't, right now we're still in pollination, early pollination, so the heat's helping, especially in Indiana and Ohio. But the ridge and stuff is supposed to cool off here going into first part of next week, but then it's supposed to ramp back up, not be in the hundreds possibly, but back in the 92, 93 again, late next week. So it doesn't look like it's going to stick, but it's going to be coming in and out, which is still going to be, people are going to be watching that pretty closely to see what August looks like.
Then speaking of weather, Barry brought some rain down farther to the south. So from a marketing standpoint, what are some ways to use this weather market to our advantage?
Well, we had a really strong market on Sunday. We opened up, firmer and had a positive Sunday night, and then the weather models are looking, seeing the rain, kind of coming in. Barry was basically moving into the eastern corn belt and pushed some of that rain up into Ohio and Indiana. We got some rain over there, but that ridge out west is basically a move that kind of moisture over the top of the ridge and put it up into Minnesota, a little bit in Nebraska. We had some, some rains kind of widespread, and or just not everywhere, but different parts of the state of Nebraska. But then it also moved into Iowa today on Wednesday. So we're kind of getting some, market pressure because of those rains that we're getting there. But from a marketing standpoint, with the volatility, probably got to be looking at offers above the market, because it goes up, and then the world numbers are big enough from corn, beans, and wheat that seems like these funds out, they want to come in and hit it and knock it back anytime that we get any, kind of levity out of the market.